This is the Toxic Talk Show.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Toxic Talk Show. We have so much going on this week. It's been kind of crazy. We had League Worlds, CDL Rostermania, and Halo Worlds is coming up this weekend, so let's get right into it. I've been having a hard time evaluating FaZe after the last two tournaments. The pieces are all there and the players haven't changed, but something just doesn't feel right. I watch them play and I don't see that same team. The fear factor isn't there anymore. Teams know they can be beaten, and they have shown it. That same factor that SSG has right now, FaZe lost. So the question comes, with Worlds about to start, is what should be expected of FaZe going into it? Honestly, I want to say nothing more than third or fourth, but that just doesn't sit right with me. I ask myself, why not? Why couldn't this roster come out and return to form? Like I said, it's all the same players, but then I remember the last year with Optic, and it reminds me that on a game that stays mostly the same, even if you stay 100%, the competition doesn't. I don't think they're any worse than they were when they won. I really don't. I just think other teams have gotten better. They focused in on the champs, as all orgs do after losing, and most of these teams are just better equipped to handle FaZe. I wouldn't give them no chance at all going into Worlds, but if you ask me what's more likely, 6th or 1st, I think I'd say 6th. Big news we're just now getting to. Valorant megastar, TenZ, retires, and it has a good many people scratching their heads. The guy has won his second international trophy, winning the Masters Madrid. I think this makes him the second ever player to win 2 Master trophies. So he just won that in March, and he really wasn't slowing down with his skill or with his winning. Like I said, he just won that in March. So why make the move? In esports, at the age of 30, you're an old man. Now, TenZ is only 23, but that doesn't change the fact that you have less time to make money and have a career than traditional sports. Which is why I like this move. After retirement, you have 2 options: stream or use a skill and find a real job. TenZ is going to have no trouble transitioning into streaming full time. The guy is massive. Not just in Valorant, but video game culture. Obviously, he played CSGO. He'll do great. He also cited that he wanted to live his life away from the game more, pursue other interests, and take a break from a demanding schedule of competing. All valid reasons. I think when you achieve as much as he does, and has, he gets the right to walk away, or at the very least take a step back. The door isn't closed with how young he is, so we'll have to wait and see. But what an amazing career if it is the end. Imagine if he would come back. Holy storylines. That alone would bump Valorant if it's struggling after losing its biggest player. That'll be interesting to watch as well. Alright, so I talked a bit on Gentlemates last week, and my advice was to get a superstar too, with some really strong pieces around them. And well, I think that's what they're doing. Obviously, Hydra was unattainable, which is fine. Not a killer. So what did they do? They got an up-and-coming star. I won't say superstar, because he hasn't shown me that yet. But I'd say star is fair. He played well on a below-average roster. Anyway, they get a guy like Linz and put proven championship pieces around him. in the championship trio from NYSL, which was 2 years ago. To me, this move tells me something about what happened after 2023, but we'll save that for another time. Alright, so what do I think of the move? I think it's awesome. Priest is a good leader and has shown to be a good piece alongside a dirty work player like Kismet and a really good smart AR in Skies. This is what smart orgs do, or at least what they should do. And the lazy ones should take note. This doesn't have to be guesswork. Look around the league. See what worked and what didn't, and make moves accordingly. I don't think Linz is Hydra, but I think he has potential. He showed that, and I think putting him alongside these pieces gives him a chance to really grow and shine. The pressure will be on him, big time. But if he wants to be a star, he'll rise up to it. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. If you're an org that is outside the top 3 or 4, get a superstar caliber guy and 3 really solid guys around him. You may just mess around and win a major, attract some more talent in. Who knows? What's the worst that can happen? Alright, so the Gentlemates thing I wasn't super shocked by. I'd say I was pleasantly surprised, but not shocked. I see Thieves getting confirmed as a roster, and Nastie, Joe, and Kremp are now on the market. And Nastie is rumored to be going to Vancouver. This would be alongside Abuza, a Rookie of the Year candidate, 04, and Hixie. And I think you read that roster and you're like, okay, wait, what? I like Hixie. I think he deserves a spot. But I don't like him on this roster. 04 is good, but not a consistent dude outside of S&D. And I would say from what I've seen, neither is Hixie. You cannot compete or frankly survive this league without a solid Slayer at SMG, and I don't see it here. I don't mind Nastie. I think that is a solid move for both him and Surge, but Hixie needs to be the piece beside the superstar, and I don't see 04 as that caliber of player. I think he'll have great stats, definitely in S&D, and so will the team, but Respawn will come around, and these guys will be behind the 8-ball in a bad way. I was impressed by Nastie, and I hope he keeps it going this season. I just don't know how successful a roster built like this will be. I thought Vancouver should have gone after a great slaying guy like Estriel. I would have loved this roster 1,000 times more if they did. Let's talk about an org I was pretty down on last week. So Cloud9 fumbles Hydra away. I was listening to the LA Thieves podcast, and it makes me feel even worse about that whole situation. That said, I'm not above giving credit. In life, sometimes you have to pivot. Not everything works out the way you want it to. Sometimes you don't get the job or the car of your dreams. Successful people, and in this case teams, pivot. So Cloud9 is pivoting. All good. They bring back Sib, one of the best ARs on the market, and go out and get Attach, another really solid AR out there. Then they go grab Kremp and Nero on SMG. I have some concerns, but overall both guys had solid years last year and showed that they can compete with the best. I love the way Kremp competes out there. He's a young kid. You just can't underestimate that sort of passion, and you can see it every time he's out there. It's really awesome. I think this roster has unique potential to make things messy for that 4th spot. Something I don't know can be said about Ultra. If you get a good Kremp and Nero, they can slay with the big dogs. I have no concern about these ARs. This team will be fighting late in tournaments. I don't know how much they can win, but after the way this year was looking, what more can you ask for? Expectations for Cloud9 aren't high, but they are high for LAT. As many people saw, they pulled off the heist of the CDL era and signed the super team everyone's been wanting. I I've softened on my lack of leadership thoughts. I think it could still be a problem later on, but I liked what I saw from the podcast. I know it's early. The vibes are high, everyone is in a fresh situation, and happy to be teaming together. I think that alone will carry them early on. I don't know. Scrap and Hydra just won a 2v2 tournament together. These guys are excited to get going. I want to talk about Scrap specifically here, though. We'll have time to talk about the whole roster, but I think he fits this Oregon team perfectly. He went from Toronto, cold, reserved, remote, to LA, sunny, bombastic, active. I know they'll be in Dallas, but LA and 100T carry a sort of aura that matches Scrappy perfectly. He's in your face, he's unapologetic, loud, and exciting. He's everything you want in a superstar, but in Toronto, it felt like they were getting the bare minimum out of him. Not his fault, not from a talent perspective, but from a content and even in a weird way competitive level. They didn't know what to do with him. Why else would they be fine letting him walk? Thieves has had great players in the past. Loud players, they can handle it well. If I'm Scrap, I may miss the beautiful city of Toronto, but I couldn't be more happy about the move. I think he's going to fit well. He's going to fit in well, and so will Hydra. If there was an org I trust to get the most out of this super team, it would be LA Thieves. I guess they will be a lot of people's early 2025 champs picks, just based on what I'm hearing. Alright, coming up, we're talking the team Scrap left, so stick around.
Joined by the one and only Dashie of Optic Texas.
Big picture, how does Dashie want to be remembered?
Yeah. Ooh, you see why I took it? They asking me who would've thought. I did. Keeping it humble in person, like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Okay, I'm lying. Straight to the fact, when the beat hitting bright, I just say how I'm feeling. No, I can't hide it. Feel like I'll take on a giant Goliath. I'm slinging a shot to the island. Boom, I ain't never missing. I put in the work, every verse gets written. I ain't no menace, but they heard my penance. Every word like a purpose to serve that sentence. Wait, every time I hit a beat, I got like infinite flows. Up in the pro, slow fast. Yeah, I'm ripping and bow. Get for the gap, go back. Now I'm taking the blow, giving a gift when I rap like a ripping and bow. And I'm tying up these loose ends. I wanna know where the roof ends. If sky's the limit, what's true then? Why does the moon have shoe prints? Switch of the beat, I don't know what my style is. They wanted something that sounded like Violet. I said okay, then go listen to Violet. Crying about it, then cueing the violence. Yeah.
Okay, Toronto Ultra lose their best two players from last season due to money. And we have a rumored roster to talk about. Obviously, they decide to stick with the declining Kleenex and struggling Insight. I can't blame them because between the money and the rest of the decisions that's been going on, who else could they possibly go and get? It would just be a waste to move. It'd just be a 1-for-1, really. I don't hate Kleenex and Insight staying. I think it will keep the fans from leaving, if I'm being honest. Those guys have been mainstays since the beginning, but they replace Scrap with Beans. I like Beans, European player. Should fit well into the system. But inarguably, a downgrade. As I said, Beans is solid, but I don't really think his ceiling even touches Scrap's floor. That may sound harsh, but I do think they made the best move possible there. What are you going to do? Then you have Joe Deceives, and I struggle to see how this SMG duo stacks up with the rest of the league. I'd say they're the 6th or 7th best in the league. I do like Joe, but I don't really think he plays that well without really good players around him. Now, these players aren't bad, but the one thing these guys have going for them is that they should have good coaching staff. I think coaching is undervalued in the league, maybe for good reason, but these guys will have a solid staff. So I think that will aid Joe, and I really think that will keep them from being a bad team. And I think it will cover up most of the key issues of the roster other than the talent gap. But I think this is a top 6 to top 8 team next year. It sucks that Ultra missed their window because they've been a solid org, but it's fair to say they're entering a rebuilding phase right now. I think they could surprise me, but I wouldn't bet on it. Alright, let's do Who's Who. In this game, I'll lay out 3 Who's questions and give my thoughts on each. We'll come back to them after the tournament just to see what I got right, what I got wrong. This episode, we're talking Halo Worlds. So let's start it. Who's got the edge going into champs? This one's easy because it's the team that dominated the season up to this point, and it's SSG. They're the clear favorites. I think they win this pending a historic fumble. They look way too clinical right now. It's definitely their tournament to lose. I think you give the edge to teams like Optic over the rest, but SSG's got the edge over everyone right now. Alright. Who is MVP of the tournament? Now, I'd go with Stellar from SSG. Maybe Lucid on Optic, depending on how it shakes out. Obviously, MVP is usually the winning team. At least that's how it should be. I think both of these guys have been solid for years so far. And I think they're probably on the better side of both their teams. I think Formal might be competing with Lucid these days, but you never know with Formal. Stellar's great, and I think his team has the best chance at the ring, so I'm going to go with him. Alright, final one. Who's sneaky good at Halo Champs? I want to say FaZe. Just to say FaZe at least, but I'm going Shopify Rebellion here. Sneaky good doesn't necessarily mean a threat to the ring. But I think this team has the talent, if the chips fall accordingly, to make it to the final, if they play well. It would be something to see, but it is sneaky good, not expected good, right? I don't think it's likely, but I mean, personally, I'd like to see something shake up, other than SSG beating Optic in another final. Either Optic beat them or somebody else is in there to give themselves a shot, because I like to keep it interesting. But there you go. That's our Who's Who for Halo Champs. Comment down below who you got for each of these. I'd love to see what everyone's thinking about this before the event. So, alright. I have to give my best guess for Halo Worlds in a bit, but first let's talk CDL and the Carolina Royal Ravens. Yes, you're reading that right, and it's no typo. Carolina replaces one old horse with another. I think Slasher is a good player, but honestly, without superstars around him, I don't think he can win anymore. I also think I would have kept Beans over Slasher. At this point in time, I think that would have been a no-brainer for most people. The upside for Beans over Slasher is obvious. Then you replace Fellow with Mac. I like Mac, but I saw that and I just scratched my head. I don't get it. I hate to be that guy, but it looks like another wasted year for Gwyn. Hopefully his superstar status survives it so he can get on a good org who knows how to build a roster. I like TJ Halley, but Escheral's out there. I like Mac, but Geo is still out there. At least he's an actual, really competent AR player. Once again, nothing against Mac. I want to see him back in the league, but I was shocked to see this because I thought foolishly, after last year, that Carolina was growing in making attempts to improve as an organization. This roster may rival the other bad ones we'll talk about next week. It's just really, really weird. I was clearly wrong about Carolina improving. I wish this team nothing but the best. I don't dislike anyone on here, as individual players at least. But this roster pairing is just really bizarre. I just don't see how they're going to be any good. All right. The CDL hasn't started, but Halo has reached its end. Here's my best guess on how the tournament will go. Usually I'll have like specific match graphics, like who I got the scores, all that stuff, but because of the way Halo's set up, I'm just not going to do any of that. First guess is FaZe get top 6. I said earlier, I don't hate the team. I just think they've ran their course. And while all the players are solid, it just isn't their year. Next guess is Shopify get another 3rd place. I have them on a sneaky good watch, but I think this is about right for them. Good roster, but this is their ceiling. 3rd guess. Complexity get 4th? I know. Maybe I should put them as my sneaky good team, but I don't trust them. I just have a feeling about this one. We'll see. Honestly, anyone's guess is as good as mine when it comes to big events like this. So much goes into play with it. I just like what they've shown leading up to the tournament. 4th guess, SSG win. At this point, it seems like an all but happened reality. I feel like I could say that a better way. I was trying to think about it in my head, but the roster's too good. I've talked about it to death. They've proven that nobody can really go against them right now. And because of that, I think they win this thing. 5th and final guess, Optic end the year 2nd best. I think sometimes it's a self-fulfilling destiny. Ask Vanguard FaZe. There are definitely worse years you could have. But to me, this is the best case, based on what I've seen from them. Well, that does it for that. And with that done, so am I. We should have a good event on our hands coming up this weekend anyway, so tune into that. Get your Halo watching in. As always, please like and subscribe for upcoming content like that. Our Dashy docuseries that comes out, I don't know, coming soon, I think it's so. Yeah, next week's show also coming up, and we'll see you then.